Hey guys, just wanted to make a quick video talking about the Canon 35mm f2, some of the pros, some of the cons, and whether or not this is a good lens for your workflow. Let's jump right in. Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Lewis and I am a photographer slash filmmaker based in the greater Chicagoland area, and I'm also a video director for a church. In this channel, we talk about all things camera, video, lighting, sound, all the things, so thanks for joining me. Today we're reviewing a classic lens, the Canon 35mm f2. I've been in the market for a 35mm for a while now, and I was surprised to come across this lens, and it only costs about $200, and so I thought, maybe this is worth a shot. So today I'm gonna go over the things that I like about it, things I didn't like about it, and whether or not I would recommend this for you. So first things first, what is the Canon 35mm f2? The Canon 35mm f2 is a full-frame prime lens with the maximum aperture of f2. It's compact, lightweight, and it's a focal length that most photographers and videographers really do love. So let's kick things off with the things that I like about it. First things first, the focal length. The 35mm really is a sweet spot for a lot of photography and videography work. It gives you enough width to capture a good amount of landscape, but also if you want a good amount of subject separation, it's also able to do that too. So whether you're capturing a bustling street scene or a quiet portrait, the 35mm will really serve that purpose. Second thing, the size. It's lightweight and it's small. And for me, I really have come to value that, having done this for a while now. This lens weighs just about 240 grams, and so it's super lightweight. You can even see, I'm kind of just tossing around a little bit here. You can see it on my hands, it's pretty small. My hands are pretty small already, but you can see here, pretty compact lens, and I love that. And it's gonna be really great for travel or long shooting sessions. And the last thing I like about this thing is the image quality. Personally, I was surprised how sharp it was even at f2. And something about these images, when I saw them in post, I was blown away by how they looked. I'm personally not a huge fan of super sharp lenses, and I think this is a good balance of both sharp, but also not too sharp where it's almost too much. With this lens, you can get both really creamy bokeh or a really sharp landscape depending on what you're trying to do. Now let's talk about some of the things I don't love about this lens. The first of them being the lack of modern features. This lens isn't weather sealed, and so if your work requires you to be in inclement weather, oftentimes this might not be a good move for you. Also, the autofocus system in this lens is quite dated, and though while it works, it's not always the fastest, and so that might be something to think about. I know for me, having used this out in the field, it wasn't bad. It definitely wasn't as fast as some of my other lenses, but it definitely missed some shots, and so that's something to be thinking about. And speaking of autofocus, that brings us to point 2. The autofocus is just so dang loud. Now for situations where you're in loud environments, or if you're outside and you don't need to be super quiet, that shouldn't be a big deal. But say you're at a wedding ceremony and you need to be quiet, this is definitely not the play. It is very loud. Here's a little sample of the audio so you can hear how loud it is. For me, I don't mind occasionally turning off autofocus and just doing manual focus for some shots. I don't really mind doing that, but that's something to consider if you're considering getting a lens like this. The last thing is, and it kind of ties back to the first one, it doesn't have image stabilization. I know that particularly like for vlogger people or like people who like to do handheld or like a lot of content creation requires some of that image stabilization. So this is worth noting if there's something that you're expecting out of this lens. Granted, the 35mm is wide enough that that shouldn't be a problem, but it's something worth pointing out if that's something that you're looking for. So what's the verdict on the 35mm f2? Well, for $200, I think it's an absolute steal. With the combination of the image quality, the versatility, the portability, I really enjoyed shooting with this lens. Keeping in mind some of those drawbacks, obviously not being weather sealed and the autofocus being not as reliable and being super loud, and the lack of image stabilization. For $200, I still do think it's worth it. As you can see from the images, they all came out really well, and honestly, I was super happy with all of them. And so I'll leave it up to you if this is something that would work for your workflow, but for me, I really ended up loving it, and I'll probably end up keeping this. If you found this video helpful, feel free to click the subscribe button, and I hope to see you in the next one. See ya.